This podcast is brought to you by Most Valuable Podcasts, saving your day from boredom with the best podcasting entertainment.
Welcome, nerds. I'm Mark Weber, and you are listening to A Graphic Conversation, the bi-weekly podcast where we read, discuss, and recommend the best and hopefully not the worst in graphic novels. And I thought it's appropriate to do that one last time as the season is coming to an end.
You know, you're really still depressed that we're not reviewing.
It's kind of still a review, but we don't review.
I think you could still do review.
Know, it's a comic in review.
Well, it's like when, and I probably said this before this season, it's like when I went to VidCon, there was a YouTuber that reviewed books.
Yeah.
And she was like, I would never give a star rating because my experience reading the book is going to be different than your experience. Yep. So I might see it as a 2, you see it as a 4.
For sure. Well, just to continue the fun, I am joined, as I always am, by the original man-child, Ricky Widmer.
What's up, guys?
And anyways, this week we read Aquaman, Volume 1, The Trench.
The New 52 Aquaman.
It is the New 52. The New 52 is not so new anymore.
No.
That's one of the weird things by calling it the New 52.
It's
eventually, it will not be new.
It's like, what, 7 years old now? September of 2011 was when it started.
Man, wow, that was a long time
7 years ago.
I can't believe that's that long that this happened. So if you're new to the podcast, welcome. We're glad that you're here. Just a little bit of housekeeping at the beginning. Of course, hit the subscribe button so you know when we do more stuff. We got lots of sports, lots of nerdy stuff, tons of things to check out. Don't forget to also hit the thumbs up if you like it. Leave comments, all that good stuff. And if you're listening by any chance on maybe iTunes or something like that, give us a 5-star rating. I like how I do 5-star and show the 5-star in my hand. But if you're listening on iTunes, you don't notice that. We really appreciate when you can do that because it just helps us out. It gets us noticed by more people. Of course, you can get an MVP t-shirt if you want a Most Valuable Podcast shirt. You can check out our website at Most Valuable Pod. Well, it's www.mostvaluablepodcast.com and Twitter at Most Valuable Pod. He's at Ricky Widmer. I'm at the Mark Weber. By the way, I like that some people will tweet at me the Mark Weber, and it's some guy in Milwaukee or something like that that gets those tweets. That's a lot of fun. But like I said, every other week during the season, we
have you really caught that and then had to be like, no, it's you're tweeting. Well,
I don't really correct people because I think it's kind of funny that they're just going to some guy in Wisconsin.
Has he ever responded back though?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think he's really active on Twitter, but he's getting tweeted at. So if you're new, I'm glad you're here. We're going to talk about Aquaman today. Don't worry if you haven't read it yet because we talk no spoilers at the beginning. We will warn you before we do spoilers, before we enter the spoiler zone. So you'll get your warning. You'll be able to pause and you'll be able to read it. First of all, to talk about it, I just want to get a first opinion. What is your opinion of Aquaman? So, not this, just what is your opinion of Aquaman the hero?
He is my least favorite Justice League member. Like, besides the Momoa Aquaman.
I, too, like to eat chocolate, Ricky. Like that's what you just said, but he's my least favorite Justice League member.
Aquaman, to me, when I was a kid and stuff, Aquaman never really appealed to me.
Yeah.
To where, like, you got to think, when we were before, like, the Batman animated series and then the early 2000s when we got, like, Justice League Unlimited,
we watched
Aquaman
Super Friends.
was like Super Friends, and it was like, and it was like, I don't like this Aquaman guy.
And he just goes, hey, fish,
just so
what are you up to?
Well, it's like it reminds me of the Family Guy reference where it's like, guy assaults a woman on the beach, and Aquaman pops up, hey, man. Oh, good thing you're not doing that over here, man.
Yeah,
Oh, man, just a little bit closer to the water, man. And he throws a starfish and just lands next to him.
Yeah, it's just, to me, Aquaman is, I hate to say it because I know there are people who are fans of Aquaman, and I don't like to make fun of your favorite superhero because I feel bad for that. I mean, my favorite superhero is not one of the top tiers. It's Green Lantern.
He's not. He's your favorite?
Oh, yeah, I love Green Lantern.
Have we ever talked about that before?
I'm pretty sure we have.
Huh.
I love Green Lantern.
All right.
I love the creativity of Green Lantern.
Okay.
But anyways, like, my favorite superhero is not one of the most popular ones.
Mine's the most popular.
Yeah, right. Now I was gonna say, if I go over to the Marvel side, my favorite Marvel hero is gonna be, well, I love Gambit, but really it's Wolverine.
Oh,
so like
you and Johnny sharing the same one.
So in that case, like, okay, well then there's the really popular guy. But I understand. So I don't want to make fun of your hero, but Aquaman is traditionally kind of lame and made fun of a lot. But that's okay.
I love this though,
because they address it. They address it in this graphic novel.
I was gonna say, is this the Ricky? Like, is this
not?
spoiler?
No, this isn't a spoiler. It's okay.
I love how like throughout this graphic novel they blatantly make fun of Aquaman, and he has to sit there and go, "No, that's not how. That's not how it's like. I don't talk to fish. I use telepathy.
Yeah."
Come on, guys, get it right.
Their brains aren't smart enough to comprehend it and to communicate. You know, it's just one of those things where, yeah, I mean, Aquaman is nobody's favorite. And I think that, and don't worry, I'll give you guys a little bit of an explanation of this book in case you don't have any familiarity with it in a second. But Jeff Johns really does go in knowing that
nobody likes Aquaman.
Yeah, people don't really care about Aquaman that much. I have to make him interesting.
I shouldn't say nobody. Very few people like Aquaman. Yeah. That's what I should say.
I'm pretty sure that Jeff Johns is, he's the only person who has ever made Aquaman interesting. Because, like I said, but when we weren't recording the podcast, Blackest Night is the most interesting thing I think that Aquaman's ever done. Is being a Black Lantern. Was awesome.
Well, the best Aquaman that I loved was Flashpoint Aquaman. We're like,
that's fair.
Where Arthur and Diana basically War of the Worlds, Atlantis versus Themyscira. For who's going to dominate the world and control it.
But yeah, Flashpoint's its own awesome little world thing. But anyway, I want to get to a little description in case you're sitting there going, well, I don't even know what the Trench is. So it's from the New 52. It's the beginning of Aquaman's New 52. The King of the Seven Seas, Aquaman, returns to his very own ongoing series. For the first time. That was a weird description, I'm sorry. But it's what I got here. So he returns for his own ongoing series for the first time in years. And, of course, Jeff Johns is the one to do it. So he returns now, and basically he is reliving and trying to deal with his issues of, am I human? Am I from Atlantis? What am I? Trying to make his life. And he has something from the deep of the sea come up to say hello, and now he's going to have some questions being asked that he has to, he is forced to have to answer. Aquaman for this one, when I came in here, what I was kind of expecting, I was expecting to have it just take itself very seriously, because I think anybody, and maybe I should give Jeff Johns more credit, because we love Jeff Johns.
So you didn't expect them to make fun of Aquaman?
I didn't expect them to make fun of him. I expected someone to come in and say, I need to make people respect Aquaman. And I thought it was going to try too hard for things like that, and that's kind of what I was coming in expecting, and I was pleasantly surprised. What were your kind of thoughts expecting when you came into reading this?
My expectations, I kind of came in clean slate. I wasn't really thinking too much about what I wanted from it, because Aquaman to me was one of the heroes where it's like, I knew who you are, I know enough about you, I know enough about your backstory, but that's it. Like, I never wasted wasted my time with Aquaman because I was too busy focusing on the Batman family and the Green Lantern Corps and the entire like Teen Titans saga that was going on. So for me, I really came in clean slate. Let me take along for the ride, and it was an interesting one.
Yeah. Do you think that people should read it?
You know, I mean, if you didn't, I wouldn't hold it against you, but if you're going to read, I feel like if you're going to read the New 52 run, you have to read it because this is just the starting point. You don't get a lot of, if you're looking for a lot of depth and a lot of like substance from an Aquaman comic, pass over this one. This one to me was a lot of action, could have ended halfway through the book. Yeah. And then kind of went on for a little bit.
A few things I want to say, but you know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of Days of Future Past. In the sense of, not the movie, to get that out of your head, but the graphic novel. Because
we read that all. I can't remember. I think that was a lost episode.
That might be a lost episode, but it reminds me of that in the sense of, it's just random
I don't think
issues thrown together. And it's just, and this one's a little bit more congruent, but like the actual story of the trench is like 2 issues. And then there's just some extra stuff thrown in there.
Well, I mean,
where Days of Future Past is the exact same thing. It's like actually only ever 2 issues, and then they just have what's her name doing some stuff for a while. Kitty Pryde just doing some stuff.
I don't like. I see where you're coming from, but I'm gonna save it to spoiler mode because I don't want to exactly say what it is. I can see where you're coming from, but I think this is connected. The story's connected more here than in Days of Futures Past.
I think so, but I'm thinking more of like the actual story of the trench is actually really, really short, and there's just some extra stuff there.
But at least the extra stuff in this still ties to that same story.
And it's going to lead us somewhere.
It's not like Dante's Inferno, where it's like, why did I waste my time on that?
This book is just a setup book. I actually think you probably should read it because I think there's interesting things going on. We're just not there yet, is really what it comes down to. I think you're going to read the next volume and go, oh, I'm thinking back to that. Yeah,
now.
Exactly. You're going to go, now I like where this is going. They're setting stuff up that's nice.
This is setting up the Aquaman New 52 universe.
Exactly. I think that you should, almost what I'm saying is more of that you should read Aquaman in general, the New 52 version at least, because of Jeff Johns. And you really, you kind of have to start with some of this. But if you're not going to read it, I'm not going to hold it against you. This isn't a drop everything you're doing and read right now.
No. Put it on the list. Eventually you'll get to it.
Exactly. The art, beautiful.
I love it.
It's awesome. This is a fantastic work.
This is going to be a spoiler, but for the art, I feel like I have to say it. There's 2 panels where Mera and Aquaman are in their bedroom. And Mara's actually obviously naked in the bed. And she says, what are you doing? Because he's sitting there staring out the window. And he goes, watching the storm, just thinking. She says, about what? And in the next slide, he's looking at her. But in the window pane, you see the reflection of the beasts that they had just fought in earlier in the book. So I looked at that and like art-wise, I'm going, oh my God, that's awesome.
Right, that was
great. So you're
great.
kind of showing me like, yeah, you know what? What we just did is kind of still on my mind a little bit because we don't know everything about those guys.
Yep, it's definitely awesome. And the monsters in this, they look cool.
Phenomenal.
They look great. They look like you would expect to see them actually on screen in a movie.
If you're a kid, like if I was maybe like 12-year-old Ricky reading this, so I read this late at night, like at like 11, 12 at night.
You have nightmares?
I wouldn't be able to go to sleep. Like if I was a little kid... Because when I was a kid, I was a kid that was afraid of the dark. So I didn't have a nightlight per se.
Are you an adult that's afraid of the dark?
No, I'm not.
Well,
but I used to have it to where I would have to have my door open and the hallway light would have to come in. Now, so it's kind of like a like poor man's nightlight.
Follow-up question. Although it doesn't really matter because you sleep in a basement. You know, original man-child and all that. But do you still sleep with a door open?
Well, I don't have a door.
You guys don't have a door to the? I thought you guys had a door.
Now we have a door to the basement.
Yeah,
but I'm no longer in. I used to have my separate room that had a doorway.
Yeah,
but that never had an actual door. But I sleep in the main area. Yeah, the area with the washer and dryer, which is like half of like the basement. Yeah, the light is still on when I sleep. I can sleep with the lights completely off, but I just fall asleep.
I need to have darkness when I go to sleep, but I have to have the door open because of the fact that I'm just so used to animals going in and out. So I have to have the door open because what if the dog wants to leave? Yeah. Well, if he's thirsty, or like when I had cats. Cats, if you have cats, you know, cats go in and out, in and out, in and out, nonstop.
Aren't most cats nocturnal?
They see in the dark. Yeah. I mean,
they're awake during the night.
No, they'll sleep during the night. I mean, the cats sleep for 20 hours a day.
True.
They sleep forever. They wander. And they will, at like 3 o'clock in the morning, run around a little bit, probably. You know, it's fun. Why not?
Poke you in the face with their paw.
And then my one little cat, Thor, who's at my parents' now, he used to do that where he would get the running start and like pounce on you in the middle of the night sometimes. It was just fun. But then he would just lay on you. Like, he just pounced on you because he wanted you to be awake to know, I'm laying on you now. Cat stories down below in the comment section. Now, what we're gonna do now, we're gonna move into the spoiler zone. Not yet though, so you don't have to press pause. But if you would like to read this, you know, it's mixed thoughts of if you should. This would be the time to do it. Now, if you do not want to actually read it, that's okay. Just stick along for the conversation. We'll be here and we'll have some fun together. So, with that being said, if you do want to read it, press pause now. Well, Ricky, welcome to the spoiler zone. This is a good place to be, a good time.
The spoiler zone.
So let's start at the very beginning. I love the fact that they are not afraid to make fun of Aquaman.
I love
this. That's perfect.
Like, he lands and it's like, what's Aquaman doing here? Or
just run him down.
Or
Who
he
cares?
goes to eat and it's like, oh, the fish and chips. Wait, you're allowed to eat that?
Right? And everyone, I love when he first comes in.
Fish are friends,
and they're like,
not food.
He's here. Does he know that this is a seafood restaurant? Like, is he going to be mad at us?
What do we do? Like,
he talks to fish.
Oh, I'm trying to find that that panel because it was great because it was the three of them. And the one guy's like, you'll never believe who walked in. It's really him. Oh, here it is. Aquaman here? What the hell is he doing here? This is a seafood restaurant. I feel guilty. What are we supposed to do?
Right? I'm not going to not eat my fish. You know, exactly. And I just love the fact that they set it up right away of saying, hey, we know you probably don't care about Aquaman. We know you probably don't even really like him that much. It's all right. We're going to make you like him a little bit. You know, they're just very willing to make fun of it and kind of, which is an important thing because, you know, as we move into having a movie for Aquaman too.
Well, that's the whole reason we're reading this.
Yeah, I hope that they have a little bit of that same willingness to make fun of Aquaman a little bit, which I don't know if I believe they will. I don't know,
because Jason Momoa's Aquaman was pretty cool.
Yeah, and he's very badass looking to where I don't think that they're going to have that same mentality, which is unfortunate.
The whole thing with the blogger where he's like, do you talk to fish? What else did he ask? How's
it feel to be Aquaman? Just general question, like, because people, you know, don't like him.
And the restaurant, ask him about the decor, like, why are you here? And then, this book will get you with some times.
Yeah.
Like, the first time it'll get you is when he goes, oh, my dad used to take me here. And, like, the panel before, you see that it's like, that's the same booth.
Yep.
The same exact booth. Like, oh, you're fucking pulling with my heartstrings.
I also,
Jeff Johns.
Another fun one of the jokes I liked is like, well, how do you pay for stuff if you don't have a day job?
And then treasure chest.
Yep. And I don't like that he just thinks about it.
I get by.
And he just thinks about it. Yep, I just got to,
get by.
Because part of it, the extra hilarity in my mind was I imagine like a little fishbowl where you got the little, fake treasure chest. Aquaman getting in there, getting his little treasure, his little gold coins that are going to help pay for college for those.
For that lady, the waitress.
Yeah.
What am I supposed to do with these? Put your kids through college.
Exactly. Right away, they establish with Mira and Aquaman that, and I love that everybody always like, it's Aquawoman. And she's like, no. Don't call me that.
Don't call me that. That's lame.
And it is. And then I love Aqua Dog too. It was hilarious. We'll call him Aqua Dog. Aqua Dog? I don't think so. But I love that they kind of right away establish this idea where she's, kind of getting used to his human side, his human life.
Wants to know more about it, wants to experience that human side.
And there's this you can see the constant struggle of him of not having to fit in. I love it. It's somewhat similar at times.
Well, because he doesn't fit in on land, but he doesn't fit in at sea.
It's somewhat similar at times to to Superman in the sense that he has that, well, I'm kind of an alien, but I'm also kind of a human.
Yeah.
But I think Superman is more in the human element of it, where Aquaman is more on the I truly don't fit in. And I think it's kind of cool because you get very much, if you want to go to more of the societal sides like that, where you just have people who might have mixed cultures or mixed ethnicities. You traditionally will hear people who might be half black and half white that say,
I don't fit in with either.
They say, yep, I'm not black enough for these people. I'm not white enough for these people. You might have the same thing with half Asian, half Hispanic, whatever it might be. So it's very cool to see that and have him be like, I'm making a solid choice that I am not going to be this part. I'm making a solid choice that I'm going to try and be this part. I just find that kind of interesting character-wise for him. How do you feel about these monsters and their desire for food?
Well, the thing that I found most interesting about them is that when the one kind of spit on the guy. And it was like mine, and I was like, "Oh, that's fucking cool." That they went so far into the depth of these monsters that it's basically, I am going to spit on you to claim you as mine,
and to paralyze you.
To paralyze you too. Yeah. Well, really, we learn about that later from Dr. Shin.
Yeah.
But like they would say mine and spit on him, so it's like, oh, it's mine because it's my spit, but that spit will also paralyze you. Then the fact of, we're not going to eat everything. We'll put a couple of you in cocoons, bring you back to the queen.
Yep. They're like ants. Water ants.
That's what the exact joke they make.
Fish ants. It's one thing that I think is really cool about these guys that kind of sets up this, what I hope they will still be around later, is that they have...
I think they all blew up.
I really don't know.
I think they all blew up.
We'll get to it.
I think they're all dead, Mark.
They have their language. The little dots.
And then the English so that we can...
The translation, yeah. I think that's a really cool added element to it because it builds up a little bit for them.
And I'm just hitting this now. I would have to look into it, but if you look at the kind of way that their text is written...
Yeah.
Is it the same as when him and Mara go down there, when she goes, "What is it?" And he goes, "It's an ancient form of Atlantean kind of writing."
Well, the interesting thing
are they speaking that ancient form of Atlantean?
I don't
dialect?
think so, because he would have recognized it. And they describe this. They describe this sound as almost like a seal.
True.
And the other one is a very loud screeching sound. Almost like Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire with the egg. In the mermaid egg. So those are two different things in that case. It would be my thought. But it is interesting. And it does raise the question of what their relationship to Atlantis is. Because later on, and not to jump and skip all over the place, but we're here, so why not? Later on, we have the thing of, he sees I don't want to call it a hologram, but it's kind of like a hologram of this old ship that crashed into where these people live, down in the trench. And they're like, yep,
Well, was it him that saw that, or was that...
It was Aquaman that saw it.
Okay, because there was also... Wasn't there one when Mara saw her father, when her father's like, "You've got to kill him"? And
I think she just made the water look like him because she was thinking about him. Because she loves water. But he actually saw a hologram, and it was like this ship that crashed in the trench where these people are, these monsters. I guess I shouldn't call them people. And, it's basically saying that Atlantis is great, but there's this plot to have it sunk. And they said something along the lines of the government lying to them. And then that's it. Then I'm assuming it's these monsters break in.
Atlantis is in danger. The guy goes, "We have pursued our enemy to the depths of the ocean. He calls home. And when we found him, a great storm arose. We believed the storm to have been created by our enemy. To avoid it, we went deep into the waters, too deep. We were attacked by something in the trench. We lost control. We crashed. We can hear them still screeching."
Yep. And
then we don't have long before they break through.
And then they do. Pretty much right after. So
then he puts on his helmet and they're through.
It's interesting to me because you're setting up all this stuff. Like I said, this book is a setup book. You're setting up all this stuff where you're like, okay, what is the connection between these monsters and Atlantis? That's why part of the reason of you say, well, I think they're all dead. I really hope they're not all dead, because, and this will get to, we'll talk a little bit when we talk about favorites and least favorite parts of the book. To me, it's one of those things where it's like, you set up all this cool potential, to just ruin it by having them all be dead would be such a waste. All the workers are dead,
but the queen didn't die. The queen died.
No, the queen's dead. The queen is for sure dead.
Oh my God, our queen died. But the thing about those monsters that kind of I was like, oh, I don't know. I want to know more about it is there was that one that was like, I'm going to illuminate my body and get like really bright blue. And I was like, why the fuck is he doing that? But then they never told you.
Well, they are all bioluminescent.
But
they do talk about that.
To me, we only saw that one. Yeah. Or it looked like only that one that did do it.
But they are technically supposed to all be able to do it. It just takes a lot of energy, I guess. That's why they are so desperate for food. And so,
because they use a lot of energy.
Yeah, and that's the other thing, too, of these are creatures that are coming out and looking for food. Mm-hmm. I do find it interesting that these are deep-sea creatures who apparently can breathe oxygen.
Because they can go on land or sea.
Yeah, so I don't know. Maybe there are deep-sea creatures. I don't necessarily know enough about fish and the deep sea. I know there's some fascinating stuff the further down you go into the ocean. I mean, it gets really, really insane and crazy down there. Where, like, literally a person were to go down this trench, they would probably die from the pressure. There's some really fascinating stuff that goes down. But I think it's very weird that these guys are like, yeah, they can do whichever. Just, I don't know. It's a consistency thing, but it's a comic book, so whatever. I really hope that these guys aren't dead, is my thing. Because even without the Queen, I think there could be so much more to these guys. And Aquaman himself is saying, where Mira's basically saying, we need to just kill them all. They're monsters. And he's like, no, I think there's more to it than that. Like, these people
She's very rage-filled.
Yeah, and he's like, these monsters, or whatever they might be, they're facing extinction. They're getting desperate. That's why they came onto land. That's why they're searching for food. They must be desperate. They must all be dying. And then they get down towards the trench, and they see dead babies of these monsters, large creatures that are dying. They basically get their confirmation of, yes, bad things are happening down here. And they mentioned toxins at one point, too. I would love to have some of that explored more. I was really hoping that Aquaman was going to get stuck there when he sent Mira out.
Yeah.
Like, he would be stuck. Because I feel like it's kind of lame, and maybe it's going to make sense as we go through, but it feels very lame to essentially be like, oh, no, there's these monsters. Let's go attack them. We attacked them. We blew them all up. All right. Done.
I'll be completely honest. After that ended, right before he got deserted, the issue that was titled Loss.
Yeah.
Right before Lost, like, I read through it, and it was, so what did it end with? Oh, yeah, it was then I guess we'll have to teach him. And I'm ready to like, oh, all right, that was a short read, but you know what? It ended on a positive note. Wait, there's more?
Yeah.
Because then I look and I'm like, and when I saw him like falling, I'm thinking future past style. I'm like, do I need to read this? Is this just like, is this another Aquaman story? Did they take two Aquaman stories,
shell them together,
which it ended up not being? But like, I was ready to stop after they got the dog. Like, I was ready to stop after this, and I'm showing the YouTube audience, like podcast audience. I'm sorry, you can't see it, but the one thing that I will ask is it me or is it just DC that touches? Not, how do I want to say this, society topics that Marvel won't touch. For example, like the ending part with Mara, when it was like the dog food guy who's he's sexually assaulting the worker, and then he goes to sexually assault Mara, and she's like, no, fuck this, breaks the wrist. Just breaks his arm.
I appreciate what you're saying, but I have trouble saying that Marvel doesn't when the X-Men exist.
No, I'm trying to think of if we have read one to this point that touched it quite like... They didn't do a super deep dive, but I feel like we haven't read one yet where I don't remember a Marvel one even like mentioning something like that. I
don't know. I feel like we probably should have read something at some point that did. But yeah, I mean... I lost my internet connection anyway, so whatever. I feel like
Patreon.com/Most Valuable Podcast.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, very much. You can get this stuff for next season a whole week early.
Yep.
But it's just one of those things where like Marvel does a great job with a lot of that stuff. They have a lot of superheroes that are based around civil rights and stuff, or based around societal issues. I mean, like I said, the X-Men exist because of civil rights.
Yeah.
So that's one of those reasons where it's like, I don't know about saying that, and I don't want the Marvel people to be mad at us. But
we had
we have read,
the Civil War stuff.
Well, that was Civil War definitely was very, very much of that. That's probably
the closest we had to it. But I'm like, I don't remember a Marvel comic touching
that we have read.
Yeah,
for this show.
Yeah. Thank you for clarifying that because I was not clarifying.
Yeah.
touching like something like I didn't even expect the thing of I'm going to call this domestic violence coming up in a Aquaman comic.
Yeah.
Didn't expect it at all.
Yeah.
Not like, and I saw it, I'm like, oh, that's surprising. But then it's like after they were like, oh, point the guns at her and stuff. I'm like, guys, she's not the problem.
Yep.
That guy's the problem. The asshole's the problem. And I get you're supposed to feel that way.
Exactly. And that's kind of how it works, right? That's society. I think...
What about the line from the daughter, though? When she's like, this guy should die. And she goes, don't. He can't help it. Like, he's still my dad.
I appreciate that because Mira doesn't understand necessarily things like that. But, I mean, she relates to it as well when she's thinking about her dad. I mean, it's what makes her think about her dad next. But she doesn't understand some of those human parts. And I think that's kind of cool because she's like, I just don't get it. He's bad. We should get rid of him.
Whereas, like, in Atlantis, you're bad, excommunicated, dead.
Yeah. I think to move into... We're talking about Mira's marketplace story, which is... Whatever.
It's the last one.
It's just one of that and Lost. These last two issues, not the TV show. It's they both to me have that. Why are these here? Like, why am I reading these? To feel. I mean, Lost in itself, I totally understand. It's very important for that one piece of story. But did we really need for Aquaman to end up in a desert?
No.
For that. Like, that just felt pointless to me.
Like I said, I was totally confused when I saw that.
And it totally worked like with the, Atlanteans or whatever, they show up and they're ready, they're stealing it because like, oh, we don't want anybody to see this thing. All right, that's fine. And then they're going to attack Aquaman and I'm kind of like, you guys know who Aquaman is. There's no way you don't know who Aquaman is. Like, or you don't know should be your king.
Or at least you don't know who Arthur Curry is.
Yeah. But this guy is supposed to be your king.
Supposed to be.
And he chose not to be. You know who Aquaman is. Like, that bugged me a little bit for the fact that they would just instantly attack him, not knowing who he was. And then, like, that one felt like, all right, I don't really understand why this is here. Mira goes to the store, and I'm glad she buys her dog some food. But she doesn't. The worker comes and brings her the food. Yeah. There's important, like, character development stuff that happens, but I also am just sitting there like,
well, it's
not necessary.
It
makes sense in single issues, but not necessarily in a graphic novel.
It's important because of, I feel like she's going to use this lesson in a future issue. Yeah. But this whole issue to me is, you said it perfectly, it's a setup issue, and I was like, I hate that it's a setup issue. Like, it's not like, oh, wow, this is peep show levels of bad. Don't read it. But it's just like, because it was a setup issue, they didn't dive into anything. Yep. You gave me these cool creatures. All right, they're finished. All right, you gave me this, but you didn't really dive into anything. It was like hint, 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 hint. Goodbye, everybody. Yeah. That's what this whole thing was.
We'll see you next time. And he literally at one point, at least on what we're reading, it's like, all right, check out volume 2.
Can Batman escape the clutches of the Joker? Find out next time. Same bat time, same bat channel. Exactly. That's basically what it was.
Yeah, and it's it is what it is. I mean, it's a good setup and things like that, and you're interested enough. And I actually would be willing to read the next volume. I would have no problem with that.
I feel like we have to. I feel like this just...
Well, if we're lucky, there'll be an Aquaman 2 movie, and we'll have to read it then, right? But yeah, I'm interested to continue on and move forward. What would you say is your favorite and your least favorite part of the book?
My favorite part is the beginning at the restaurant. Basically, the whole beginning, making fun of Aquaman. Yep. I loved it. Not just because they made fun of Aquaman, just because it was a nice comedic part to it. My least favorite part... If I had to pick a least favorite part, I would probably have to say the desert, maybe. Yeah. Let me just flip through really quick. Yeah. Most of that, before that desert scene, like, at the beginning of the desert scene was really my least favorite because I felt like there was too much of a disconnect between this story, that story. Yeah. And it felt like at first 2 different stories. So that's what I'm going to go with.
Yeah, and I think it's cool because you do get the little bit of the payoff when they're like, oh, the FBI or whatever saved Aquaman who was in the desert, fish out of water. It was the Navy. And that's a funny joke. It kind of almost honestly felt like that issue was purely set up for that joke. And I know that's not true because it obviously was set up for the hologram or whatever. My least favorite would probably
the Mara one.
Yeah, I don't.
You really didn't like that Mara solo issue.
Well, it just was. I just sit there and I felt like I'm like, okay, cool. You know, it really didn't do anything for me. You know, it actually slightly just in my head made me think of you watched Avatar: The Last Airbender, right?
No.
Okay, you didn't. If you have watched Avatar: The Last Airbender, there is a amazing episode.
You're talking about the cartoon, right?
Yeah, where everybody goes to the market essentially, or goes to the town, and all your main characters. There's just this one random episode where they all do their own thing in this episode. And then you almost get a little bit of that sense from the Mira thing, but only instead of having an amazing thing where honestly, that episode is one of the best episodes of the entire series for two very specific moments. This one was just like, all right, well, that was fun. My favorite, though, is just like you making fun of Aquaman, being able to have the awareness to just say, we got to confront it.
We get it. Nobody likes Aquaman.
That's perfect.
Or Aqualad.
So if you have read it, please let us know what your favorite stuff down below in the comment section. So, Ricky, give a recommendation to the listeners.
You know, this is one where it's a classic. You know, you should read it. I don't know if I want to say should. Like, this is one where it's like, not like read it right now. Put it on the list. Whenever you get to it, you get to it. That's what I would do. Click it onto the wish list. Whenever you buy it is when you buy it. Whenever you get to it is when you get to it.
This is my recommendation.
Don't read it.
Go to your library and see if they've got it. See if, because libraries have comics.
So you're saying don't waste the money on it.
I would not spend any money on this.
So you're basically saying that we wasted our patrons' money because our patrons actually helped us get the graphic novels for the season.
They do.
We wasted their $5 on this. I think it was $5.
That's why they need to give us better suggestions of things to read. But I mean, we're gonna read Aquaman. No, I think the story is good, and I think it's going somewhere nice.
It wasn't what I wanted it to be.
It's kind of a. I said the word lame before, but let me correct it a little bit.
I wanted more from it.
I think it's a lame duck book in the sense of you're just not getting much out of it yet.
It's kind of like a lame duck coach in college football, where it's like this guy's he's just here for the next guy. This issue is here for the next issue.
Exactly. 100%. So you should probably read it, but if you're going to read it, you got to read it with the next one too. Don't stop at volume 1. Go through volume 2.
I think the next one's The Others. I think it's the next one.
And that, I mean, even just that sense,
future.
It just makes sense because we're probably talking about these monsters or whatever.
I think from what I did see, I think Black Manta's actually in The Others, which I would be excited about because then it at least then we're putting him against his arch enemy.
It would be kind of cool if we find out that these little monsters used to be
Black Manta.
No, I was going to say are some Atlanteans. Yeah,
that's what I'm assuming. I'm assuming the dialect is similar. That's what I'm thinking.
So, anything else? Anything we didn't cover?
You know, this was one where it's good, but it's not just great. And it's not amazing. It's not great. It's just a lot of like, oh, that was good. Yeah. I didn't hate this one. That's how I felt after
You will
reading
fly through it, though. I mean, that's the thing. You're going to fly through this.
Usually it takes me, I'm a slower reader because I'm one that actually I kind of acted out while I'm reading it. And I read this in like an hour and a half and I was like, holy shit, that's quick for me.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really, really fast. You'll get through it for sure. If you've read it, though, let us know what your thoughts were down below in the comment section. This is a weird one because I don't get to tell you what we're going to read in 2 weeks because it's the end of the season.
We'll tell you.
It's done.
Here's the question that I want to ask at the end of this. And I know that this is kind of, I didn't prep Mark for this at all. We have had people say that they want more graphic conversation. I'm going to say this, and Mark, you can shoot it down right away. Okay. If we get enough suggestions, and if they want it, do we eventually make AGC a fall season, spring season, and it's off for the winters and the summers?
Potentially. I mean, it all just depends on timing. And I think what could potentially be more doable is if we get enough people to give certain suggestions,
like 8 in the
that
fall,
we can
8 in the
just
spring, and then
do a few extra. You know, it might not necessarily be in a season. Maybe, I don't want to say it's Patreon exclusive type of stuff. Because
that was one thing we got, especially in the survey we did at the beginning of the year, was hey, I really liked a graphic conversation. Are you guys going to do that again? Well, you guys, this is 8 episodes in. We did it again.
Yeah. And it could be interesting,
like
too,
doing
because you
this.
potentially, depending on, I mean, now there's so many damn superhero movies that there are all year.
Yep.
But otherwise, I was going to say, you could almost have, like, the blockbuster season and the season of not, the rest of the stuff. But anyways, we'll see what happens.
Just wanted to throw it out to them.
Yeah, for sure. So let us know if there's specific things that you want to read. Hit the comment button, hit that like button, sub button, all that good stuff. You'll be able to see more stuff because Rick and Johnny, even though a graphic conversation is not around, there'll still be nerd content.
We're doing all that
going
movie
on.
reviews too.
So
man.
there's tons of stuff to check out. Head to patreon.com/most valuable podcast so you can see other rewards that you can get. We have exclusive podcasts there so you can see even more stuff. Additionally, don't forget to follow us on Twitter at Most Valuable Pod. Give us a 5-star rating on iTunes and anywhere that you're listening where you can give us a rating. It really helps so that way people can find us and that way they can have reviews and know whether or not they should listen to something. And of course, we're really glad to have you guys. So if you want to show some extra support and maybe that's Patreon, maybe it's not Patreon, maybe you want a t-shirt, you can go to mostvaluablepodcast.com to check out the store, or the link is down in the description. A lot of options for you. It's been a really fun season. I've enjoyed it. Have you enjoyed yourself this season?
Oh, I love a graphic conversation. That's also why I threw out the dual season, because I wouldn't mind doing it
It's
in
fun.
fall, spring, and then having the summers and the winters off.
It's a fun time for sure. I hope you all enjoy it as well. But we'll see you next season. Have a good off season, I guess. I mean, it's such a hard thing to say, everybody, but we'll see you around. I mean, we're on Most Valuable Podcasts all the time, so you'll definitely see us.
I think this is season 3, end of season 3 for us.
Yeah, it's been a fun one. We'll see you for season 4. All right, have a good one. Season 4 coming soon.